media, I'm Robby Soave.
And I'm Amber Duke. Up next, we'll be turning back to the 2024 presidential election, where independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can't seem to catch a break. Former Republican Congressman and never-Trumper David Jolly had these harsh words to say about Kennedy on MSNBC this week. Let's watch.
Should we take anything from the fact that Donald Trump went on video on his janky social media platform and attacked RFK Jr. for a long time?
Yeah, look, I still think RFK Jr. could take more from Republicans, and I think that's why Donald Trump's attacking him. He is a MAGA-crazy Republican. He's a vaccine denier. He denies science. He flip-flops on the issue of abortion, and even his own VP candidate can't keep up with where he is day to day on the most important issue going into November. And now he says he has a worm eating his brain. He is a perfect Republican today. And so, look, who knows how he takes in specific states that really matter to a Biden victory in November. But I would tell you, this guy speaks to the Aaron Rodgers Republican, which ultimately could take from the MAGA crowd. I suspect to see Joe Biden having a little bit of fun with RFK going into November.
Coming to Kennedy's defense is NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who did in fact make an appearance on Tucker Carlson's show just this week. Let's watch.
That's why I have hope, and I want Bobby to have a chance to debate and to get into it, because if not, it's just going to be the same over and over and over. And like when the financial crisis happened in 2008, right? And Obama put many of the people involved in it into his cabinet, into the the Department of Treasury was like one of the guys from Goldman and Sachs, I believe, who was a part of the whole that went down. And that's on Inside Job, which is a great documentary.
So maybe we take the
well.
captain of the Titanic and make him Secretary of the Navy.
Yeah. But that's basically what you're doing.
I know. What do you think motivates Bobby Kennedy?
I think he loves standing up to the man, to the big corruption.
So far, the polls, I think, are showing us that RFK Jr. is taking supporters from both sides, from both camps. The most recent polling that showed that was bad for Biden, that had him behind Trump in most of the swing states. When you threw RFK Jr. in there, it didn't really change the fundamentals. He was at 10%. He's getting some voters from both sides, and then also some voters who are not going to vote for Trump or Biden, even if RFK Jr. wasn't in the race. You know, that's true of third-party candidates in general. You know, Reason's a libertarian magazine, so we pay a lot of attention to the libertarian candidate who's always being blamed. And then, Jill Stein, Green Party person, gets blamed by Hillary fans for costs. It's always blame the third-party voters. Don't blame the flaws of your own candidates who could easily speak to those issues and try to win their voters. No, they feel entitled to your vote. But I can see why both Trump and Biden have concerns about RFK Jr. Because he is taking votes from both of them, but it's going in both directions.
Yeah, I agree. It's negligible who he would actually hurt more, but you do see that Trump is a little bit nervous about these new polls. He, I guess, expected that he would be taking more votes from the Democratic Party, which, if we looked at polling 6 months ago, suggested that would be the case. Democrats said they were more likely to be willing to vote third party. Now it seems to have evened out. So to that end, Trump has been attacking RFK more over the past couple of months.
And there are things to bring up, because he is not a MAGA Republican. While his views on some COVID mandates is certainly more welcome on the right these days than in liberal circles, he has a long history of environmental activism and support for health regulation, environmental regulation. He called I think he said very mean thing, NRA a terrorist group or something like that. Is for forgiving student loans, is for affirmative action. These are recent stances. I think it's totally fine to appreciate some of what a candidate has to say. I appreciate some of what he's had to say about the mandates relating to COVID, that he's raised the salience of those issues. And I think it is fair to criticize Trump on some of those grounds, in addition to, of course, Biden, who willed into existence an entire vaccine mandate for millions and millions of employees that got struck down by the Supreme Court. But I know everybody was having a fun time with the worm in his head thing, which created a lot of jokes. Now, obviously, the candidates he's up against aren't pictures of youth and health and beauty, so I don't know how much that works.
Yeah, I don't care for the sort of reflexive attacks from the Trump surrogates, where if you praise any part of RFK's platform, then you're like anti-MAGA, you're not in the club. I've never been about that, sort of purity test. I'm not interested in that. But I do think that RFK really shot himself in the foot this past week with what he said about abortion if he wanted to court Republican voters. Now, there certainly are plenty of Republicans who are not pro-life, who are socially more liberal, who probably don't care. But I think there also are a lot of Trump voters who really liked what he had to say about the vaccines and the COVID mandates, who were really turned off by what he said on abortion. So he was he did an interview with the former ESPN host Sage Steele, where he said that he would support abortion for any reason up until the moment of birth. I think he called it late term or something to that effect, and then immediately walked it back a few days later when he realized people were upset that he said it, and was appropriately vague by saying that he would support abortion up into a certain number of weeks and then there would be restrictions, but he didn't say what the number of weeks were or what the restrictions would be. He's previously said on the campaign trail that he supported the 15-week ban, which then his team walked back. So I don't even think RFK knows what RFK believes on abortion. Certainly his VP candidate doesn't know.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a problem if he's trying to get some Republican crossover.
Yeah. Maybe, less so if he's trying to get libertarian voters. Obviously, there's a lot of pro-choice libertarians, although there are pro-life libertarians as well. Or there are people who are in the libertarian contingent who are morally opposed to it, but have various opinions on whether and on what circumstances it should be illegal. I mentioned the Libertarian Party because RFK Jr. announced that he will be speaking at our convention later this month, as is Donald Trump. Now, all three candidates, Joe Biden as well, were invited to attend. There's been some criticism of this move on the party's part to extend an invitation to these candidates, including from some of my colleagues, which I understand because in terms of those people are not libertarian. We're going to give enough of a spotlight, I hope, to our actual libertarian candidates, not like Vivek Ramaswamy is speaking to. I appreciate some of the things Vivek has to say, but he ran in the Republican primaries. He's a Republican. Republicans get tons of airtime on Fox News and in conservative media. We're trying to get some attention for the actual card-carrying LP members. So I understand the frustration. That said, it would be a great venue for a debate, actually, between Trump and RFK Jr., and Biden was invited. He doesn't want to attend. That's his problem. And RFK Jr. recently challenged Trump to debate him at the convention. So I don't expect that will happen, but I thought that was a good move on his part too.
I agree. Yeah, I think it would be a great thing. And I mean, for people who are critical of it, I'm obviously not a libertarian, so I, am not going to speak for your community. Sure. but I think at the very least, you all would have the opportunity to ask questions about issues that really matter to you. Try to get maybe information out of these candidates that other media outlets or parties are not asking them about based on the Libertarian Party platform. And that can be incredibly useful, especially if there is a Libertarian candidate who's not viable and people do feel like they have either a binary choice or they're going to sit out. They might find this forum really useful for them in helping them make that decision.
I would certainly like to subject Trump, RFK Jr., Biden to scrutiny and questioning from a libertarian audience. There are some issues that are very important to libertarians that get highlighted by a reason a lot like the plight of Julian Assange, for instance, which both Trump and Biden have had ample opportunities during their presidencies to take care of that issue and have not addressed it. It's something LP people feel very strongly about. So why not call them out on it? So I hope that kind of, or ask RFK Jr. about it. I believe he said more supportive things about freeing Julian Assange, things of that nature that just don't get asked by the mainstream media. So I think that would be great if it takes place, but we'll see. If it just becomes a advertisement for people who get plenty of free advertising, I want to make sure we hear from libertarians as well.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, more free media right after this.